Over in La République du Cameroon, of course, this document I'm showing here is a document we've seen everywhere on social media, indicating when the Kamto camp urged ELECAM to give an official paperwork indicating exactly why the candidature of Maurice Kamto was denied. And of course, upon the delivery of this document, ELECAM issued this other one, on which, in very few words, they simply said the candidature of Maurice Kamto was denied because the party that he seeks to represent fielded two candidates. That was the reason it was denied. But at the same time, we all recall that the CPDM party fielded two candidates. ELECAM received the two candidatures and published a list of individuals who had presented candidatures, and on that list there was someone called Leon Tiller, who was also a candidate for the CPDM party, along with Paul Biya was also candidate for the CPDM party. At the same time, Univer demonstrated, also presented two candidates, Akeremuna and another lady. But surprisingly enough, the only political party or the only candidate who was rejected because the political party who was to represent fielded two candidates was the Manidem. Questions were asked, and eventually when ELECAM released their paperwork, they claimed that only political parties or leaders of political parties were authorized to submit documents of candidature for anyone on behalf of their political parties. And so they claimed that Leon Tiller of the CPDM party was not presented by the leadership of the CPDM. That is why his candidature could not even be received. But they failed to understand there was an official document issued by ELECAM indicating that ELECAM had received and admitted the paperwork for Leon Tiller. The same thing they did for the lady for Univer. But behind the scenes, because everything had to be done to protect Mr. Paul Biya's candidature, and because they did not have to drop Akeremuna because they need to say, okay, there are people from everywhere, the people of Southern Cameroon who show interest in being candidates have to be encouraged to be candidates because they have to tell the world that Southern Cameroon is part of La République du Cameroon and is part of these elections. Of course, they could easily turn a blind eye and say it was not so that the candidacies were not submitted by the leaders of the political party. So for Univer, the ladies' candidature was not submitted by Nkumvondo. But on the side of the Maniden, forgetting that Atanga Ponji in person had published a document on the site of the Ministry of Territorial Administration, recognizing Anicet Ekane as the only leader to be recognized by the government as the only leader of the political party known as Le Manidem. How comes then that they will reject the candidature of Maurice Kamto on grounds that this other guy put, this one? Yepga, who is the star of the movie. On grounds that Yepga, Dieudonné Yepga, who was ejected, had also presented himself as leader of the same political party, while Maurice Kamto's candidature was presented by the leader, by the other person also claiming to be leader, as they said, and he said Ekane. But they don't tell us that at the 2018 elections, the candidate of the Manidem political party was presented by Anicet Ekane. He was not rejected. ELECAM did not say at the time that he was not the real leader of the Manidem. In 2020, Same thing was done. Hey, La République du Cameroon did not reject the candidacies presented by Le Manidem on ground that Anise Ekane was not the real leader of the political party. All political meetings convened by Tanganji himself, the person he invited as the leader of the Manidem was Anise Ekane. You know, this thing went so far, right to the point where Atanga Ponji had to get people to help him. To help him hack the site, hack in inverted commas, the site of his own ministry to remove that document that his own ministry put there, recognizing Anise Ekane as the only leader of Le Manidem, to replace it with a document saying he was now Dieudonné Yebga, even after screenshots had been taken. Even after screenshots have been taken and URL and the URL links created, leading people on that website to that particular document. Atangaji had to work overnight with people to dabble on the site of his own ministry. And then later on, he published a communique claiming that some people had hacked the site of his ministry and introduced some documents there for a representative of a political party that did not have to exist. And when Atanga Ponji was busted by this gentleman that you find here, this gentleman in several audios busted Atanga Ponji in communication, in several audios in which he was communicating with Dieudonné Yebga, where he was reminding Yebga that the role he was playing was an infamous role, an ugly role, and revealed to the entire world that Atanga Ponji was aware of what happened, of the manipulation made on the website. This man, Mevois, Jean Benoit, is now on the run. Seriously on the run, because Atanga Ponji has dispatched forces of La République du Cameroun behind this man. Atanga Ponji wants his head, wants him dead or alive. They have not only sent soldiers, gendarmes, police, and all whatnot behind him, they have also sent hired killers who, if they spot him, they take him down. All to protect Atanganji, who now calls himself a sheriff. I don't know since when a minister of territorial administration became a sheriff. Since when a minister of territorial administration became the delegate general for national security, became the secretary of state in charge of the gendarmerie, or became the minister of defense, or became the official in charge of the DGR. I don't recall when that happened, but this is what it is. And now, you know, there's been a serious outcry following the rejection by the ELECAM electoral board of the candidature of Maurice Kamto. And that outcry has come from all angles, including even from within the CPDM party. And all fingers are pointed at two people. Atanga Ponji of Southern Cameroon's extraction from the Northern Zone, and Eno Abrams Egbe, still of Southern Cameroon's expression from the Southern Zone. You see what they do? They front our people in places where they can only be seen as horrible individuals, where they can only be seen as manipulators, where they can only be seen as people without characters. This is what it is. You have Eno Abrams Egbe, who used to be known as a seasoned administrator, who is also known as somebody who has the fear of God in his heart. But look at how Eno Abrams Egbe is portrayed here today as the hangman doing the dirty jobs of La République du Cameroun. And now they are saying in the corridors that that thing was from Atanga Ponji's mouth to the ears of Eno Abrams Egbe. That those are the two people who were so determined, so hot to make sure that Maurice Kamto will not become candidate. That is why I'm going to come here and show you screenshots that will embarrass you. that the citizens of La République du Cameroon have sent out, pointing out Atanga Ponji's properties all over the place, even drawing a link between him and Bofas, a company that I know to be headed by Godlove Tala, a gentleman who just batters about to take care of his life, do his business, and take care of his family. But today, Bofas is being linked to Atanga Ponji. I don't know if there is a link. I don't know if Atanga Ponji is a shareholder, but that is what is being said. I mean, they're displaying the property of Atanga Ponji, even his family, his children, all over the place, including even here in the US. Like telling him, we are after you. So even within the CPDM, the outcry is real. As to why did you need to go this far? Why do you have to go this far? And with this with this outcry, I will not be surprised that at the end of the day, the Constitutional Council reinstates the candidature of Maurice Kamto. And at that point, it will be the doing of Clement Atangana. Doing what? Gainsaying lunatics from the southern Cameroons and pointing out that these are the mediocres, these are the bloodthirsty monsters, these are the nincompoops who are trying to set the country ablaze. Of course, when I come back here late today or early tomorrow, I'll be bringing to you some sound bites that will make you trick, that will understand exactly what I'm talking about. Look here, this is Mesanga Nyamding, a BIist, who is saying here that he is simply embarrassed at how far Atanga Ponji would go to ensure that Maurice Kamto did not become candidate. That is Mesanga Nyamding, who is a BIist. Mesanga Nyamding says, although he is a BIist, he thinks that, the action taken by Atanga Ponji is exaggerated. He thinks that Atanga Ponji has gone mad. That's why he says, Mesanga Nyamding accused Ngongo et Chantal Biya, of course, plus Atanga Ponji, d'être les responsables du rejet de la candidature de Maurice Kamto par ELECAM. And he says, le motif du rejet est très grossier. Pluralité de candidature, vraiment. This is what he says. That the reason for rejection is just so horrible, doesn't hold water, to the point where, it's simply an embarrassment. Il said Ngongo et Chantal Biya veulent humilier Paul Biya, qu'ils ont pris en otage. Paul Biya n'aurait jamais refusé la candidature de Maurice Kamto. Et c'est que Ngongo et Chantal Biya laissent Maurice Kamto participer à la présidentielle. Je suis un biaïste, mais je ne cautionne pas cette façon incorrecte de disqualifier un candidat très sérieux comme Maurice Kamto. You see, and at the end of it all, although you call Chantal Biya and Ngongo, he knows that their errand boy, their attack dog is Atanga Ponji. Get away from Maurice Kamto. You have from Professor Mesanga Nyamding, you have the Professor Biwole. Professor Biwole, here is Professor Ondwa Biwole. This is a lady who is, I don't know if she's now the de facto Director General, but she was the Deputy Director General of the Institut Supérieur du Management Public, of the Higher Institute of Public Management in Yaounde. You see, she too comes out there to condemn outright what she considers to kind of be a simple, misguided, and unacceptable witch hunt being organized by Atanga Ponji on the candidature of Maurice Kamto. She feels that this is really not acceptable. That's why she says it is vraiment grossier. And she's wondering how far these people are ready to go for such stupidity. She too does not deny actually being a member of the rungs of the CPDM. Now away from her, you have Calixte Beyala, who says je suis dessus. Ne pas trouver Maurice Kamto aux élections de 2025 est un échec démocratique? S'agit-il d'une tricherie politique, d'une fourberie démocratique, d'un piège républicain ou d'une embuscade politique, tout simplement? And all of these attacks and everything, they are all directed at Atanga Ponji, much as they know that those who are behind it will be Chantal Bia, will be Ferdinand Gongo, but the one who is fronting, the one who is put in front, the ones who are put in front are Atanga Ponji and Eno Abrams Egbe. It gets even so bad that even another presidential candidate who himself is facing the prospect of his candidature being rejected at the level of the Constitutional Council because the CPDM party, of course, Ferdinand Gongo and Chantal Bia, have bribed people from within his own party to protest his candidature and say he had been deposed as the president of the party, as the chairman of the party. Issa Chiruma Bakari comes out in a strongly worded document to condemn the act by ELECAM and Atanga Ponji to disqualify the candidature of Maurice Kamto and calls for the immediate reinstatement of that candidature. And in all this, he even explains that from the things that have been gathered here and there, the information gathered from audios coming from left and right, it's a clear indication that Maurice Kamto was simply being targeted, and that is a full-blown machination to ensure that Maurice Kamto in particular will not be candidate at the presidential election. And you know what is in those audios? What is in those audios simply are discussions between Yebga and Mevois that show clearly that Atanga Ponji is implicated in this act that led to the rejection of the candidature of Maurice Kamto. That's why if you go back to Biwole, she says, je pense que l'affaire Kamto devient une affaire de république. Il a le droit d'y participer parce qu'il est camerounais. Et les autres ont le devoir d'expliquer pourquoi il ne participe pas. Il ne participe pas. C'est lui aujourd'hui. Demain, ce sera quelqu'un d'autre. So you see, the outrage is clear. The outrage is clear. Even from people who are supposed to be regime apologists. This shows you that Atanga Ponji and Eno Abrams Egbe have really overplayed their hands. The audios between Mevois, Jean-Benoit, and Benefice, and Mr. Jedone Yebga show very clearly that Atanganji himself masterminded the so-called hacking of the website of his ministry. Disgusting, to say the least. And then you have Jean-Bruno Tanya, this BBC journalist who I understand is now more or less based in the United States of America. I was going to wonder that he was in La République du Cameroon and publishing such opinions, in which he says that Atanga Ponji, along with Ferdinand Gongo, with Chantal Bia, were simply being so naive and stupid. And he says that Paul Bia in his days had a different approach at doing this. He says Jean-Bruno Tanya is actually saying the elections have always been rigged, will always be rigged, but at least Paul Bia allowed his opponents to participate, to give the semblance of some kind of democratic exercise before going ahead to rig his thing at the end of the day. That's why he says, quand Paul Bia était libre, that when Paul Bia was free. What Jean-Bruno Tanya is saying here is that Paul Bia at this point is not free. That Paul Bia, of course, is a hostage of, Chantal Bia, Ferdinand Gongo, with their errand boy Atanga Ponji. Because he says, du temps où le président Paul Bia était maître de lui-même et jouissait pleinement de toute sa liberté. You said that when Paul Bia was himself, was a master of the whole thing, and was enjoying his freedom, was free. So you hear, Paul Bia is a hostage. Paul Bia is captive. I'm not the one saying Jean-Bruno Tanya. Il n'empêchait pas ses adversaires, même les plus farouches, de se présenter aux élections. That he never stopped his adversaries, even the strongest ones like the Fundis and all of them from participating in election. Ici, il les laissé au moins concourir et tricher ensuite avec un certain doigté pour gagner. That he would allow them participate, give the semblance that there is an election, and go ahead and cheat and simply rig the thing, take the whole stuff and all of this. And says that Atanga Ponji and these individuals today are simply amateurs and are going too far and are likely to set the country ablaze. And that is why you see they have this quote of Atanga Ponji here, of Atanga Ponji saying, vous devez organiser des patrouilles. Vous devez scruter les faits et gestes de tout un chacun. Tout ce qui peut comporter des risques. Look at, these are instructions that you get from officials in charge of the security of a country. So in the context of Cameroon, you should get this coming from the Delegate General of National Security. You should get this coming from the Director General of External Research, DGRO. You should get this coming from the Secretary of State, Galas Etoga, in charge of the Gendarmerie. You should have this coming from the Minister of Defense, Joseph Betty Assomo. Not from a nincompoop who is only Minister of Territorial Administration. He moves around calling himself sheriff. And look at what he's saying. So he's saying that he's actually ordering the forces of lawlessness and disorder in the Republic du Cameroon to go around harassing people. That was simply organizing the patrouille. Then you have to check every single individual, their acts and their actions or whatever they say, and see anyone who appears to present any kind of risk. Send him to the guillotine. This is Atanga Ponji. That's why, my people, I have said Atanga Ponji is the #1 amber boy that we have. Because Atanga Ponji is the one who's going to set that country ablaze for us. Atanga Ponji is not failing. He is living up to his billing. If you happen to need Atanga Ponji anywhere in Yaounde, please give him a kola nut. Give him a piece of kola nut on my behalf. Or I know that he drinks champagne. Give him a bottle of champagne on my behalf. Tell him he's doing an incredible job. Please don't forget to remind Atanga Ponji we are counting on him to finish this whole thing for us. Because with Atanga Ponji in charge, trust me, La République du Cameroon cannot escape the tsunami that is coming right ahead, that Armageddon. Atanga Ponji, you are the man of the match. Yeah. Atanga Ponji, like he says himself, he's a real cruel, the cruelest of all sheriffs in town. He will make sure to continue to raise the temperature, until the fire sparks, as we're all looking forward to. Oh yes, Atanga Ponji is the man of the match. And so, Blériot Nyemek descended on Maurice Kamto just as you would expect. I said that country is in a powder magazine. Just watch.
Kamto aurait officiellement 74 ans, âge apparent 80 ans. Donc, quand tu vois Kamto, il ressemble à un homme de 80 ans. Kamto est politiquement fini. Il n'y a rien là-dedans.
Ah bon?
Il n'y a plus rien là-dedans.
Vous faites dans la voie.
J'ai vu Kamto l'autre jour, tous ses cheveux ont sauté. Donc, on ne va pas quitter un vieillard pour un autre vieillard. C'est insupportable. Kamto, sachant qu'il est fini, il veut incendier à la fois la forêt et la savane avant de partir. Kamto, tu ne réussiras pas. Kamto aurait officiellement.
Did you hear that? He says, hear him again.
Officiellement 74 ans, âge à.
So he says, Kamto will be officially 74. But he refuses to accept Kamto's age. Blériot Nyemek refuses to accept that 74 is Kamto's real age. But he's ready to accept that 92 or 93 is Paul Biya's real age. So that's why he decided to add Kamto 6 more years. That's why he says 74 is certainly birth certificate age. But the real age, that Kamto's real age that he has seen in his real age should be about 80. But for him, Paul Biya's real age is 92 or 93. He doesn't add. But Kamto, he adds 6 more years. Oh my goodness, I say it's going to be very interesting. And I like it that Paul Chuta concludes it in this manner. That la solution, c'est la rue. Si on ne veut pas descendre dans la rue, alors accompagnons la dictature et taisons-nous. Paul Chuta. Paul Chuta is a blogger of La République du Cameroon. So he is saying what everybody is saying. He is saying what other Africans across the continent are saying. That in Cameroon, the only solution will be found in the streets, not in the ballot box. I don't know if those stupid people, permit me really use that hard word, in the southern Cameroon who continue to talk nonsense about federalism or one Cameroon and all of those things, and then even calling our people to go to the ballot box to go and vote. That's something that comes from there. I don't know if they are seeing this. Citizens of the Republic of Cameroon themselves are recognizing more and more that the change they are seeking in their country will never come through the ballot box. It will only come either on the streets or through the ballot box. I'm not the one saying it, I'm just interpreting it. So you can see it for yourselves. So the Simon Munzus and all of those two moving around and talking trash about federalism or whatsoever. I guess every day you saw even the decree about notaries public. La République Cameroon is on a daily basis reminding you that the people who have been right from day one and who are still right today and who will be right tomorrow and always are those you are calling separatists, are us, the pro-independentists. But if you don't make haste to jump ship, you find yourself wanting at the end of the day. My dear people of Amazonia, I want to thank you all for taking time off to be with me, to share with me on this platform. It's always a delight to be with you. So go ahead, share the link, share as much as you can. Let our people be informed, let our people be edified, so we remain all mobilized, and do not hesitate to make a contribution to get this liberation movement continue to be strong. Do not hesitate to make a contribution, that very important contribution that will help us continue to support the civil society on ground zero, who will continue to be very strong for us. If you are unable to make a contribution using any of our online platforms, the Amber Relief 2018 at gmail.com, reach out to me using the number that you are seeing on the scroll, and that is, like I always say, WhatsApp only. You can text, you can call, and let's make an arrangement on how you make your contribution to finance our freedom, to finance your freedom. Thank you very much for your very kind attention, and to God be all the glory.